Alrighty, good morning YouTube. I have just made it to Cuba. This is early in the morning, like at 7. It looks like it's about to rain out here, so I'm just gonna circle around the deck really quick. So far what I can say. Oh, nice graffiti. The car culture so far looks really good. Some amazing cars just rolled on by. The Jesus statue in a different pose this time. Don't worry, I will cut in later and better footage. Great. And I wonder what this is. Oh. Architecture here is really amazing.
Oh my God.
And I wonder where you're going. Look like you're doing some early morning fishing. Get off.
Very good morning, beautiful Carnival Sensation family. Aaron, your cruise director here once again, and we are going to begin our debarkation process this morning. So once again, please only come to the gangway once I have called your sticker letter. Now this time I'm going to be calling letters A as in Alpha and B as in Bravo. Everyone with sticker letters A and B, it is now your 10-minute window to report to the gangway. The gangway is located on deck 5 forward.
What modernism means to us is actually that period of time, 1930s, 40s, and 50s, okay? Which is actually the most beautiful, or one of the most beautiful periods of architectural development, actually throughout the world, okay? So those are the activities that we have pending for this tour. We should be getting back to Pearl around 4:30 this afternoon. Yes, question. Will we pass the cathedral? Not on this tour, not on this one, okay? Because the cathedral in Savannah, it's into the old town, and we're not making a, well, we're gonna, actually we have, yes, we will, because we're gonna make a stop at one of the squares, the most important squares here, and that will be the cathedral square. So by the end, we're gonna make a stop there, at the cathedral. Yeah, we will, okay? Thank you. So, Havana, which is the capital city of Cuba, out of the 11.3 million people that live in the country, 2.2 live in this city. So we're in the largest city of the country. The second largest city of Cuba being Santiago de Cuba in the southeastern corner of the country. Right now we find ourselves in the north coast. We're looking at the Atlantic coast. So this is the Havana Harbor, okay? Havana, which was founded in 1519, November 16, 1519, is going to be 500 years this here. So in November 2019, we're going to celebrate the
Badass car.
500th anniversary of the foundation of the land. So you're all invited for the party in November, okay? All right, so I expect to see you here in November for the celebration of the 500th anniversary of the city. Havana was declared a World Heritage Site in the year 1982. And precisely on that year, they designed a master plan for the restoration of the city. Now, today, of the 100% of that master plan that was designed, only 40% has been completed till today. There's about 6,000 buildings.
I'm gonna try to talk quick, but we are about to hit one of the shooting areas of Fast and the Furious 8. Review that on my channel soon, but this street we're traveling on is the shot where Toretto had did this last, the opening sequence race.
It is a very expensive project for the Cuban government. Some of the ways they have found to support these restoration projects, for every dollar or every Cuban dollar that you spend in one of the government business that we have in the old town, 30 cents.
So racer right there.
Restoration office, and that's how they raise the funds to later reinvest it in these programs. Okay. I told you Havana has the largest fortification system, and actually today you can see right now on the top of the hill on our right, we can see the largest fortification in the Americas right there on the top of the hill. That is La Cabaña Fortress, which is one of the places that we're going to visit in this tour. Later, I'm going to give you some more information once we get to La Cabaña about its foundation, the history, and why it was so important for the Spanish Empire. Remember, we were a colony from Spain from 1492 to 1898. And in 1898, the explosion of the USS Maine, an American battleship that was protecting the interests of U.S. investors in Havana, the explosion of the USS Maine at the Havana Harbor marked the beginning of the intervention of the United States in the Spanish-Cuban War. The Spaniards decided to pass down the political and administrative power of the island to the U.S. in a treaty known as the Treaty of Paris a year later in 1899. As to not to lose their economic influence in Cuba, and then the U.S., after a 3-year period of military intervention, they established the Republic of Cuba in 1902 with a new constitution and so on. So that's part of the history between the U.S. and Cuba. Now, as we turn around here, we're going to see a house with a dome on your left. Can you see it now? A beautiful house over there. That was the former presidential palace. Today, Museum of the Revolution. There you can learn about Fidel Castro's revolution of the 1950s. Okay? And this house over here, on our right, you see how many people we have here? This is the Spanish embassy. The house belonged to Dionisio de Velasco in the year 1912. So Velasco sold the house to the Spanish government, and today it is the Spanish embassy. So all these Cubans that you see here are waiting for their interviews or migratory proceedings at the embassy. Okay? So the presidential palace, built in 1923, this house that is coming up, by Machado, which was the president at the time, built it in 1923, and every Republican president after him lived in this house. In the year 1959, with the triumph of the revolution, it was used as the seat of the Council of the State of Ministers for a couple of months, and then later the building was closed and remodeled and turned into a museum. So today you can learn about Fidel Castro's revolution of the 1950s in this house. And then in the backyard of the Museum of the Revolution, we have some of the military equipment that dates back to the years of the invasion to the Bay of Pigs and also the missile crisis in 1962. Invasion to the Bay of Pigs, 1961, April 1961. Missile crisis, October 1962. And here you see some of the military equipment that's part of that history. In the glass house that you see over there, there's a boat, a little yacht, little boat that was bought by the revolutionaries, Fidel Castro and many others, to come back from Mexico in the year 1956 when they were in exile in Mexico, to return back to Cuba and continue struggles for the independence of the country. Then past the Museum of the Revolution, we are going to see a modern building, which is actually the most spectacular museum in the whole country, this building. This is the Cuban section of the Museum of Fine Arts. Actually, the most important museum in the whole country. So we refer to it as the museum. So if you want to see a museum in Cuba, this is where you have to come to see Cuban art. Okay? Beautiful. Now, another important place in the city will be Sloppy Joe's Bar. There we have it. Coming up on your right in the corner. Sloppy Joe's Bar. Actually, the longest bar in the country in the 1920s and 30s. Okay? Sloppy
Man,
Joe's.
look at these rides.
A couple of years ago, the city historian's office had a project to remodel the place, and today it's still an active bar and has a lot of history behind it. Now, the Sloppy Joe's Bar and Zulueta Street, which is the one that we're taking right now, will take us to see Central Park. Central Park being the heart of Havana, actually marks the division between Central Havana and the Old Town. The Old Town on our left, and then Central Havana will be on our right when we get past the Central Park. Central Park is devoted to our national hero. There is a statue to Jose Marti, who's our national hero. Jose Marti is a national hero because he founded the Cuban Revolutionary Party in 1895 that would conduct the necessary war against Spanish colonization in the country. So Jose Marti is in the middle of the park. There are 28 palm trees that surround the statue because Jose Marti was born on January 28, 1853. So there you have Jose Marti, a national hero. The statue was carved in Carrara marble from Italy. So Central Park was part of the plans to modernize Havana. Havana was a walled city and a colonial city till the year 1863 when they took down the walls. And when they took down the walls, the projects to modernize the city included the areas outside of the walls, and that's how many of these areas were developed. Now you're going to see a beautiful building right in front of us. Over here, majestic building coming up on the front. That is the Havana Grand Theater. The Havana Grand Theater, built in 1914, finished in 1914, was the property of the Centro Gallego Mutual Aid Society from Galicia, Spain. And they bought the land where they had a previous theater that was built there in 1828, the Tacon Theater. They demolished the old theater and built this beautiful gorgeous building right in front of us in 1914. Actually, the Havana Grand Theater was the most important theater in the Western Hemisphere in the 1940s and 50s. Every important artist or every important personality in the arts performed at the Havana Grand Theater. Today, it is the seat, the main venue for the National Ballet of Cuba and the Opera House. It is named after the prima ballerina and founder of the National Ballet of Cuba. Her name is Alicia Alonso. Okay, the founder of the National Ballet of Cuba. This theater is named after her. And then once we get past the Havana Grand Theater, we're going to see the Capitol building of Cuba. The Capitol building of Cuba. Actually, the seat of the Council of the seat of the House of Representatives and the Senate in the year 1929 when it was completed. There we have the Capitol building. The Capitol building was built parting from a metal structure that had a central body that included the dome and the central staircase. The dome is 92 meters high and 36 meters wide. And it was the fifth highest dome of its kind in the 1930s. There is a 25-carat diamond below the dome on the floor that marks the kilometer zero of road highways in Cuba. So whenever you hit the road from Havana's water provinces, it means that the ground zero starts right here at the Capitol building. Okay? The Capitol building housed the House of Representatives and also the Senate. Today we don't have a Senate or a House. We have a National Assembly that is already sitting here at the Capitol building. As you can see, the building is under restoration. They say that by 2020 it should be completed, the whole restoration of the Capitol building. The Capitol building was part of a plan of the modernization of Havana. In the 1920s, they hired, because Havana was a very antiquated city until the 19th century. And when they took down the walls, they decided to hire, by the coming of the 20th century, one of the most important French landscapers of all times. His name was Jean-Nicolas Forestier. And Nicolas Forestier is actually responsible for planning this section of the city outside of the walls, bringing a lot more trees outside, wider avenues, and so on. So that was the intention once the walls were taken down, to build a much modern city with the capacity to hold the growth of the population, the amount of streetcars and cars and railroad that was necessary for the development of the country. Then we also see this green area right in front of us over here, known as the Fraternity Park, that was built actually in the year 1928 as part of the plans to build the capital, built by Machado, the president at the time. They wanted to celebrate the Pan American Conference that year, and for that purpose they built this Fraternity Park that has monuments to very important personalities throughout the Americas. And we will actually see a monument dedicated to Abraham Lincoln in this park. And Lincoln is considered in Cuba a symbol of liberty, so we have a bus to Lincoln right here in the corners coming up right now. There you have Abraham Lincoln over there. So this is the Fraternity Park. One of the most beautiful results also of that conference was the planting of cotton tree. The cotton tree in the middle of the park that was planted with soil that came from all the countries and the nations that were participating of the Pan American Conference, as a symbol of solidarity between our countries. So there inside the fence you saw the tree, the cotton tree, or the ceiba. The ceiba is a holy tree actually for African-derived religions, because the ceiba is a family of the baobab. And you know the baobab is a holy tree, it's a sacred tree in Africa. So when slaves were brought to Cuba, the one tree they found that was similar to the baobab was a ceiba, and they used it for their rituals, okay? So it is a very important tree for African-derived religions. The city started expanding, parting from three main roads in the second half of the 19th century. One of the main roads was El Camino de San Lázaro, that connected the city with its first cemetery. That doesn't exist anymore, the cemetery of Espala. Then later, the second important road was this one that we're actually taking now, that at the time was known as El Camino de San Antonio el Chiquito. And El Camino de San Antonio el Chiquito actually connected the old town to central Havana and then parts of the northern section of Havana. El Camino de San Antonio el Chiquito today is known as the Avenida de Reina, the Queen's Avenue, built on behalf of Queen Isabel II, Queen of Spain at the time. And La Avenida de Reina was actually one of the most important commercial streets of Havana. There is one very typical feature of Havana's architecture that you don't find in many Europeans in the world. So if you look at Havana closely in terms of architecture, we are a very European-looking city in terms of architecture. There's one feature though in our city that you don't find as much in many other European cities. And that element is actually the covered walkways. These elements are usually found surrounding the main plazas in Europe. However, in Havana, you find them aligned through the main commercial streets of Havana. This is a city ordinance that was issued in the year 1776 as to protect the people from the elements of nature like the sun and the rain. And it's actually really nice because during a rainy day, you can walk for miles under the protection of these covered walkways all throughout the city. So all the most important commercial streets of Havana have that feature, okay? And that is also another way they refer to Havana at the international level, known as the city of covered walkways, okay? In this street, this avenue, you can see also a big confluence of different architectural styles. You have from Art Nouveau to Art Deco to modern architecture of the 1940s and 50s. If you look at the balconies on these streets, you will see very interesting and beautiful designs of balconies on these streets. That talks about the years of splendor of the Cuban economy, which were actually Republican times in Cuba, 1930s, 40s, and 50s. Why are these the best years? The historians will refer to these years in Cuba as the years of the fat cows for the Cuban economy. Why? Because after the collapse of sugar beet industry in Europe with the end of World War I, 1918, then sugarcane became the cash crop of the Cuban economy. And a lot of the capital that was made after sugarcane production was reinvested later in the development of infrastructure in the city. So therefore, most of the island was developed during that period of time. It's the greatest economic period for the history of the island. And then the Avenida Reina provides us with a view of that splendor, former economic splendor of the city. This is a church, a Jesuit church from 1927. On your left, we've just passed it. The Heart of Christ is the name of the church. It is an active Catholic church. Pope Francis, when he visited Cuba, he gave a mass to the Cuban people, actually from the church, the Heart of Christ. Now, once we go past the street light, we're going to enter Central Havana. Central Havana, which is considered the transition city between the old town and the modern section of Havana. So what's in between these two districts is known as Central Havana. And Central Havana is the smallest district we have in Havana, 4.5 square kilometers. However, it is the most populated area of town. In 4.5 square kilometers, we have about 50,000 people living here per square kilometer. So it's really, really busy, really populated, this area of Havana. And Central Havana was considered the supplying city for the old town. So at the times of the wall of the city, the people who lived within the walls used to develop their economic activities like sugarcane growing activities, tobacco growing activities, agricultural activities, cattle raising, and all those economic activities happened in this area of town that was a forest at the time. Then once they took down the walls, the city started expanding outside, and the people who had money started buying land outside and developing the land outside. And that's how Central Havana and the modern section of Havana were born. This avenue is known as Carlos III on behalf of King Charles III, the King of Spain at the time. This is one of our department stores, by the way. One of our malls right there. You won't find department stores or mall every other block, okay? So don't look for them. You won't find them. They're spread out in the city, okay? So you have to commute from this one to the other one and so on, all right? Unfortunately, we don't have Home Depot either in Cuba. We need Home Depot in Cuba today, right now. Bring it down. We need it down, okay? Home Depot. Okay, so this is Central Havana, what we're seeing right now. The street is named after King Charles III because the first statue to honor the King of Spain, King Charles III, was placed actually on this street. Now, you are going to see what used to be the most important botanical garden of the city, right here,
nice.
Right in front of us on our right. One of the greatest farms ever built in the city, the Quinta de los Molinos. It's a botanical garden, not the most important one of the city today, but it used to be in the 19th century. And it today also houses the Academy of Nuclear Physics of the University of Havana. It's still a botanical garden, a beautiful place to visit in Havana, green space in the city. Now we're heading towards the Revolution Square. And actually, the Revolution Square, even though it is known as the Revolution Square, it is not a project of Fidel Castro's revolution at all. It was built by Fulgencio Batista y Zaldívar. You know who Batista was? Batista was the president in Cuba in the year 1958 that was overthrown by Fidel Castro, okay? The one that Fidel was fighting against in the 1950s. And Batista, who had 2 terms in office, one from 1940 to 1944, and then another term from 1952 to 1958, when he was overthrown. Batista came to power after a coup d'etat. What happened was that he was running against the Orthodox Party. The Orthodox Party was led by Fidel Castro and Osvaldo Ortiz, 2 university students, law students. And the Orthodox Party was the most popular political party there was in the 1950s in Cuba. Batista had a pretty good idea that he was going to lose against the Orthodox Party. So, since he was a sergeant of the army, he staged the coup and proclaimed himself president at the time in 1952. That actually is the cause for the beginning of the independence struggles in the 50s by Fidel Castro. In order to protest for Batista's coup d'etat, a year later, in 1953, Fidel and a group of older revolutionaries attacked the most important military barracks in the country in Santiago de Cuba. And that marks the beginning of the independence struggles in the 50s, okay? July 26, 1953, when they attacked the Moncada barracks in Santiago de Cuba. Now, Batista, after the coup, you know that his public image had deteriorated a lot. He became very unpopular after the coup. So in order to clean up his public image, he decided to give continuance to some projects that were already in place to build the memorial place for our national hero, Jose Marti. Okay? To make himself look good and honor our national hero. Then he collected 52 million pesos out of workers' donations to build the memorial place for our national hero. He actually ended up using only 16 million. You know what happened to the rest of the money? Poof, evaporated to his pockets. Right? So, but we actually owe Batista the building of the memorial place, which is right in front of us. Over there, you see it. It is a star. There were 3 awards given. One of the awards, he launched a contest. One of the awards given was very similar to the Lincoln Memorial Place, right? Neoclassical temple with the statue of Jose Marti inside. But that was not used for these one. Then the second award given was actually very similar to this one, had the same star-shaped tower that had a sculpture of Jose Marti on the top of the tower, with arms widespread like God. That was award number 2. But the actual winning award was this one, that included the same star-shaped tower, a statue of Jose Marti on the bottom, but it also had a public library attached to it. And that is the actual price that was used to build these monuments. Then it became a very important place because they also built a lot of government and important buildings here. That's why the Revolution Square is so important. We have 2 buildings of importance here. We have this one with a face over here. You know who this guy is? That's not Fidel Castro. That's not Bin Laden either, okay? That's what people say, oh, he looks like Bin Laden. No, he's not Bin Laden. This is Camilo Cienfuegos. Camilo Cienfuegos was one of Fidel's right hands in the 50s. He died in the year 1959, okay? That is the telecommunications department. Then you have another building with another face over there. That is Ernesto Che Guevara. Remember Che Guevara, the Argentinian that fought in Cuba, the revolutionary? Well, that is the Homeland Department. There you have the National Theater. Over here, you have the National Library that was part of the original monument, the complex. There, you find the Ministry of Economics and Planification, the little building coming up over there. The tall building next to it is the Defense Department. And then behind the monument, you find the seat of the Council of the State Administrators. For that reason, the Revolution Square is the most important political and administrative hub of Cuba. And the amount of government administrative buildings that we have in these squares. This is also the place where the 3 popes that have visited Cuba, it all started in 1998 with John Paul II, 1998. Then we had Benedict XVI, 2004. And then we had Pope Francis, 2016. Whenever they came to Cuba, they set up a shrine here at the Revolution Square to keep the mass of Cuban people. And everybody will concentrate here to participate in the mass, okay? This is also the place where Fidel Castro used to speak a lot during the most important dates for the Cuban nationality. Independence Days, International Workers' Days, and many other days. He used to speak at the feet of Jose Marti over there, over here, and the people will concentrate here. So now, we're going to get off right here at the Revolution Square so you can take pictures of the site. We're going to have about 15 minutes here so you can walk around, take pictures, and then we'll get back on the bus to go to Kisiguala, the African-derived project, okay? All right, thank you very much so far.
Ow. I just hit my head. Thank you. So, to reiterate, YouTube, what I just said earlier, we had actually crossed one of the shooting sites for Fast and Furious 8. And looking at, hold on, get my finger out the way, looking at the reason why they shot here, I can tell completely because the cars here are amazing. See all the cars? You know I have it on video, right? I can just pull the... You hear me?
I don't care about what you have. I want you to take a picture.
I can. You didn't even let me finish what I was gonna say. I can like take the video and pull the image right from a timestamp and send it to you.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool.
I saw a lot of Malibus, a lot of 1950 Malibus. What you about to do?
Do you want to go take a picture and one?
No, I'm good.
Sure.
I'm good.